Testing, testing. Testing. Twenty-sixth of March, 3:30. And I'm going to go to the Connemara in this time of occupation, kind of. I'm leaving my game to download, Transport Fever 2, 92%. If I could get Flow to do this, maybe. Well, it doesn't matter, I suppose. Let's see how much it does. What would you do? I let him out to the garden, yeah?
Yeah, sure.
You don't need anything in the shop, no, in Carrefour?
No. No, we're full of things.
Yeah, we got chicken. Can do that tonight. We got lots of chicken, yeah?
Yeah.
Right, I'll be back in an hour or two. Goodbye, Tuco. What have you got in your garden? Where's your ball? Where's your ball? Here's his ball. Ah, ah, ah. So here we go on a secret agent mission. That's what this is like. Gotta try and avoid the cops. The cops. Too nice a day to stay in. Especially when I'm getting all upset about my connection on the laptop going off every 5 minutes. And I'm also trying to download a big update to the Poco phone, which seems to have stopped downloading. Maybe I'll be able to do that easier in the Connemara. It's over 1 gigabyte. I wasn't going to, but then I looked at a video and I think it's worth downloading it because it affects a lot of things. It might make the camera more stable, things like that. I mean, if there was an update to a game you were playing, you'd kind of download it without thinking because it can only make it better, I guess. Oh, it's a bit windy. I didn't expect that. Shit. I'm wearing the wrong hat. I'm wearing a baseball hat. This is perfect weather for the black hat. Puma. quite strange to look at the road here and have it completely empty. Not the road I'm walking on, but the main road. What about that young? Man, he really soars to the height of thought. And that sentence really jumped out. I thought it's the inner psyche is, deep within the psyche. It's trying to come together, really, trying to achieve an objective. And its workings have nothing to do with the external world. That really meant something to me. Because it was one of those things that I often say. That sometimes we put the wrong cause to something. I'm irritated and annoyed because of the game, because it won't download properly. First of all, I'm not irritated. The irritation has got me. Might be a better way of looking at it. It's just interesting to think of things in a different way like that. Bonjour. Yeah, it's interesting to think of things in a different way. The conscious part is the ego, which is every single thing I'm doing and thinking. But when you can kind of contemplate or meditate on the fact that, as hard as it is to contemplate, or to entertain the thought that the ego and everything about it and everything about me in that way is small compared to the mysteries of the unconscious, conscious. And we think we know a lot more than we do about our personalities and about the forces that affect us. There's a mystery there. There's also a great unification in a lot of these theories. I like that a lot, because that's the sense of unification, the sense of a coming together is really what it's all about in a lot of these theories. Individuation is the union of a lot of the elements within us, conscious and unconscious. Union. I actually lost the train of thought there. I had something else in my mind I wanted to say and it's gone. That's annoying. It was like I was close to a thought. It just slipped through my fingers there as I did that little detour. Something about what Jung was saying and the book he'd been reading in meditation. When things are working together for you. Yeah, it was something to do with the higher power. I think that's where I was going in my thought. Surrendering in a sense to the higher power. And the higher power is all that stuff in the unconscious, all that stuff that's, well, that we're trying to harmonize. That's the kind of way he described religion. Religion is a feeling of harmony, and he was quoting some quotes from religious people, and it really was all about being in touch with oneself, being in harmony, being strong, being beyond the emotions and the slings and arrows of life, so to speak. That higher power thing is the way I've looked at it, and the way Jung looks at religion and the way he spoke about it in the paragraph I read connected with me. Because again, I see religion as a Gnostic thing, as an internal experience. Internal experience of total unification, balance. And we go to a higher place, we become more than we were. And it's got nothing to do with external things. It's got to do with a change in perception and a change in the inner dynamic, which ties in nicely with the more traditional religious ideas, being at one with God and stuff. But I like the idea that there is a situation going on where balance is trying to be reached. And it's an internal balance, and I do my little bit on this with this ego to try and help that. But the things that I think are important that really nothing to do with this internal struggle for balance. Neither my game that I'm downloading nor any things that I want to upload. I guess they can, if you allow spontaneity in yourself, perhaps these can help in that objective. If you think it feels nice to do this, but I don't know why. Like last night. I I just put together a bizarre 1.5 minutes of video, and it was just some clips some clips I had, time-lapse stuff, and I had just a piece of audio that I'd recorded on the digital thing, the digital voice recorder from a few days ago. Fuck. It's okay, it's not really a dry cough. And the piece of voice that I had was it was me saying something. Well done, guys. I'd like to congratulate everybody that was involved in the 360-degree camera project, the Zedion project. We made the videos we wanted. It was something very obscure like that. And I put it together with some images. Underneath that I put David Bowie's Outside. And it made no sense really, but somehow the process of doing it was when you're in that, it's the thing I read about one time, you're doing a job which is perfectly balanced. It is giving you just the right amount of, how can you put that, the right amount of the right amount of happy drugs going through your brain. It is stimulating enough where the time passes and you don't check time at all. You're engrossed in what you're doing. And it's difficult in a sense that you're trying to find the things to make it gel together, but it's not that difficult that it's in any way a problem. And again, on a level, like if it was an analogy, you're trying to find some balance to these very different objects. This voice from this time, and a piece of Bowie music, and some unrelated images, and you're trying to bring them all together and create something that causes that kind of aesthetic feeling in you, where you want to see it and you want to hear it again. And I guess you could just call that it's a piece of art. It is neither music nor video nor audio. It's actually all of that combined, creating something. And that's it's satisfying when you finish it. Although I have to be honest, it wasn't completely satisfying. Bonjour. It wasn't completely satisfying. What it was like a blueprint for something that I thought, wow, there's potential here to do a voice, the video, some music, and preferably my own music. That would make it completely mine. But it kind of made me think, wow, there's potential. You could work on a specific piece of dialogue, which immediately brings to mind all my notebooks and things, because that's been going through my mind recently as well. The idea. Kids and stuff in front of me. Do I go on or do I go over here? There's someone over there as well. There's fucking people everywhere. Never seen it so busy. So yeah, this is why you follow through, I guess, in an artistic way. You don't get obsessed with anything. You don't suffer from any kind of inflation of the ego, where you think, oh, I'm onto something incredible. I'm not onto something incredible. I'm just doing something that feels right, which maybe the conscious and some part of the unconscious actually likes. So I keep going on it. And I developed the idea because to create some kind of an art form that gives me that aesthetic pleasure in doing it, and then seeing the finished product. It's a really nice feeling to be doing something you really like, something that's so engaging that it takes all your attention. I have to try and pass these people. These kids, 2 kids on bikes. They're walking charm boxes. Buongiorno. I'm just trying to keep away from everybody. We've been isolated for only 14 days, and it'd be a fucking shame to catch something now. That's the one thing about going out, which is a little bit worrying. Or going to a shop. Because you just think, imagine if I was fine and I didn't catch anything when we were in the restaurant with all those people around. And I've been home for 2 weeks and I'm fine. And then I go out to buy something. And I catch the damn thing in some stupid third-party way. After avoiding it in the rush. Yeah. Anyway, let's keep. I'm turning off to go down by where the boxer dog lives and where the horses are. Going past that beautiful big tall tree. And then as I look down here, what do I see? People. People everywhere. All the kids are home, you see. Normally all these little kids I see, that a lot of them would be in the École Maternelle. The one by the gendarmerie. That's closed now, so you've got all these kids that I guess they need to get out. It's still a little disturbing to see so many people walking around. Because the thing is, I don't know who they are, I don't know what they do or where they've been over the last few days. For all I know, this woman walking toward me could be a nurse who's off for the day. She could have spent the last 5 days surrounded by, you know. I gotta stay away. Bonjour. guess if you just start coughing, people will probably move away very quickly. Yeah. Buongiorno. Kind of starting to understand how Howard Hughes felt. So we take things. A lot of Jung's work is about that, taking the dark side. And being aware of all the stuff we have in us and making it all I'm talking to the horses. Taking all the different elements of us and trying to make it into a unification. And sometimes in the Power Director, that's kind of a little bit what I'm doing. Sometimes I'm taking very different things and seeing if I can't put them together. Who knows what we are? I hook up to those horses and some part of me is thinking, you can tell who I am. You can look into my soul and see that I would never harm you. But to everybody, really, including the horses, I'd imagine, they just see this face, you know, face with the red cap. And then I guess a lot of people would project what they think I am into that image if they haven't met me or don't know me. I do the same. There's a guy in front of me, and just by the way he's walking, I'm starting to come up with ideas about what kind of person he is. Just because he's walking slowly. He's walking slowly and kind of not swaying, but it's not the normal walk. His tempo is too slow. And so straight away there's something odd about him. I guess people must see me the same if I walk like that. It's the phone, right? Yeah. It's interesting. Free will is another thing I was reading about Jung, but how true is free will when I look up and fear grabs me just by looking at someone. George. Sniffing. That's a question. Does that mean our instincts about people are never going to be right? Bonjour. Yeah. So when you see somebody act in a certain way, like I was saying hello to a little dog and there was two people with the dog. One guy was a coloured guy and I could tell by the way he smiled that he was quite pleased that I'd kind of dropped down to say hello to the little dog, and that connected me to him. And without saying anything, I had a sense we both like dogs. We both, there was a sensitivity to him. That's my intuition. I always feel strong about intuition, but the guy that was with him, he was on his phone and he was walking in a specific way and I hardly looked at him. But my intuition about him was that he wasn't a nice guy. I wonder what Jung would think of that. Is that me projecting my own fear onto someone? On the other hand, he talks a lot about intuitive people. And he believes completely in the intuitive sense. And I'm sure he'd be completely for intuition, believing in your intuition and also being spontaneous and going with that kind of good feeling. I think for me, I'll stick with the intuition. But the free will thing, yeah. I felt a bit of nerves and fear, like I would do if 4 or 5 young guys came toward me. And Jung would say that fear has you. And where's your free will at that point? Because surely it's not something you'd choose. You wouldn't choose to feel uncomfortable with fear or anxiety, would you? And yet we do. That raises the question, of course, about the free will. See, here's somebody else. That looks like he's wearing a mask. This is one of these houses up here when you pass the old house and you're starting down the hill. First house you meet. There's a few, there's 2 or 3 seem to be all close. But most of the people I come across here, for instance, I've never liked them. I don't know them, I've never really spoke to them, but there's just something about a lack of friendliness. And then again, sometimes people that are not that friendly can turn out to be diamonds in the rough. Should I trust myself? Don't know. Free will. And at the end of the day, someone like me, my life is not really affected very much by strangers I meet, so it doesn't matter a lot of the time. I don't even have to know whether that guy back there is good or bad. It's irrelevant to me. It's only if there's some other way. Suppose someone like that came towards you in a hospital and there was a male nurse or a doctor or a female nurse, and they gave you the worst feeling. What would you do in that situation? That's when you could be in a bit of bother. You wouldn't want to get a terrible feeling about the surgeon who's about to do the job in your heart, or anything for that matter. Or the dentist. But I trust in my intuition, just thinking of my dentist now. It's another example from experience. The guy I saw, he's a bit gruff. But it didn't matter because somehow I thought, no, he doesn't have the professionalism of meet and greet down. He hasn't kind of put on a special professional dentist face. And in one way it was quite kind of nice in a sense to see that, and I had a good feeling about his heart, you know. And also his skills as a dentist. I felt sticking by him, I was rewarded as well. Kind of bizarrely rewarded in a very largely financial way, in a sense, as well as I got the other guy seemed like a madman. He wanted to take my teeth out, clean everything, put some kind of false teeth in, I think, wait 6 months, see if everything was okay, put the other teeth back in, and he was talking about charging me thousands for it. In the end, my Romanian doctor did it all for about 120 quid. And it seems fine. I trust them. That's where the intuition is interesting, because sometimes you can meet someone that's incredibly polite and smiling and acting in a very genteel way, and yet that doesn't mean that my intuition sometimes can say, I don't like this guy, there's something not right. And I could meet a very gruff kind of a mechanic who's loud and seems to be shouting at you, and yet my intuition was saying, no, this guy's fine. He's as honest as they come, it's just his manner. It's like John Byrne. If you didn't know him in his younger days, you might be a bit intimidated by him. When you sit down and get to know him, he's a gentleman. that character I worked with in the choral bookies keeps coming to mind. His name eludes me. He was someone you think, you kind of think, is he a good or a bad guy? The girl I worked with was an Indian girl, and she thought he was a really lovely guy because he looked after her. But me, I'm not too sure, even looking back all these years. I think he just enjoyed tormenting people too much to be a good guy. Even if there's that reputation of, oh, he's like that till you get to know him and then he's fine. He's very nice, really. He's just a bit difficult at first, but I wasn't sure about that. I think he enjoyed tormenting people. Until you stand up to him and say, look, if you don't, whatever. I don't think I ever really stood up to him. I can't remember if I ever did. God, I took these jobs so fucking seriously, it's unbelievable. That part of my life, kind of an enigma. I absolutely hated that job. I mean, it used to just irritate is too weak. It really, it made me sick. I mean, the fear involved, the fear of making mistakes, constantly on edge with every fucking bet that I ever had to do, adding them up. The only thing that was easy was when it was just a straightforward kind of, you know, you're on the back of horses, 5 to 1. Here's 10 quid. That was kind of easy. But everything else. And for some reason, I didn't feel ever that I had the right to resign. I think maybe it's because I just finished in the video shop and I was really obsessed with making sure I had some money because me and Flo had just moved into a thing. But man, even that, I can't believe I'd put up with that, you know? I think there was also the idea that you can't just leave this job because you need a reference for the next job. And how are you going to get a reference for the next job if you just quit this job? Because that's the important thing. That's what the employers ask for. You know, what were you doing for the last 6 months? And so I wanted to leave in good relationships. But man, I should have quit. So it bugs me. It really bothers me thinking of it. I should have quit I should have quit after about a week. And said, I'm sorry, I can't do this. It's just too stressful. It really is too stressful. I got a lump in my fucking throat trying to do this. The customers terrify me. And the guy I'm working with terrifies me. I can't even, you know. I should have done that. Logement Isabel. Says maybe this way for Flo's class or something. That's a good example of a projection. There's an elderly couple. I just passed them. And they're standing beside like the street lamp. And there's a sign on the street lamp. It's like the normal sign for dead end street. And underneath, there's a sign like somebody made. There's a Lottement Isabelle. Maybe take a picture of it on the way back. And they're looking around and they look pissed. So I'm thinking these are two people like Mary. They live somewhere around there, and even though it's totally irrelevant to them and shouldn't bother them in the least, they seem pissed off because somebody has put a sign on the light. See, I'm projecting all that because I have no idea if that's the case. For all I know, they put the sign themselves. But my initial reaction is I put my own scenario, I have my own movie going there, you know. I project the movie onto the scene, but the movie comes from the back of my own head, and there's no way I could know for sure if that is anywhere close to what's actually happening. I've turned off I don't want to go shopping. I feel like a bit of an ass going in there and just getting some cake. It would seem like, oh my God, this guy's doing all that just to get a cake. So I won't. I can do without cake. The great thing about reading Jung is that you read a couple of pages and he gives you enough food for thought to last you for about a week. I wonder will I ever feel that power. The power that comes with that sense of unification when you kind of have some access to the bigger consciousness outside yourself. I'm aware that it can, and I've experienced things in the past that it could be quite overwhelming to start seeing signs and symbols. And you know, they all start to make sense to you in quite a clear way in your head, to the point that it's like synchronicity and coincidences are happening all of the time, all over the place. We're not used to that. It's not a state of mind one would have much experience with. And so I can understand that in a situation like that, you need to be, well, you need to have a very good foundation, and you need to be, I can understand then the logic of needing to have a great sense of what the ego is and how it can mess those things up. You need to take them lightly, I think. That's what happens to people. The super ego inflation. I know what that's like. I think I experienced it once, that time in Argyll Road. There was many, many years ago. I don't know what happened. It's got to be something to do with drugs. I think maybe someone spiked my drink, or I smoked something, and I started hearing voices above me. Really nice. Angelic. It was all euphoric. There was just this giant connection, and at the time I was, reading Nietzsche for the first time. I was into the Doors for the first time. And there was just tremendous things happening. As they say, I felt blessed, and I felt that I could bless. I think I had the ability to keep it to myself, though. But there was quite a few days, I think, of that. Because I remember going to work in our price as well, thinking about something. Again, it was that sense of harmony. It was that sense of unbelievable balance and equilibrium. And it became almost like a supernatural. I'd be thinking, I'd love to hear this song, and then someone would just put it on. It may be something like that that happens when you connect. And in some sense, it might not be good for you. It might be unpleasant. Maybe best to stay in our own very filtered kind of and kind of blocked off from all the stimuli, and just allowing a few things through at once so that we don't get confused. Hello, pussycat. Oh, what happened to you? What happened to you? Did you get in a fight? Hmm? I hope someone's looking after you. Here, there was a sense that there could be a cop passing on the square. Why am I whispering? Right, I'm walking down the side streets now, getting very close to the Connemara. I've passed the Boulangerie, and I'm walking down this side street with all this shit. So now what I need to do is get the key ready. So that I can jump into the Connemara quickly. Here we go. I'm not going to look left. Just march right to the Connemara. There we go. Yes. Seem to have made it. And then I'm gonna wash my hands. I wash my hands. Yeah. I didn't really. I touched a dog. I touched a dog. But to be honest, besides all this, washing your hands every now and again is, and using very hot water so that you almost burn them. It's probably good for you. I'm not going to dry my hands with that tea towel because it's filthy. I'm going to dry them with this one. There you go. God, I'm using a lot of stupid Visa machine keeps printing out stuff. Okay. There we are. Well, we made it. I think if I keep talking for another 1 minute and 15 seconds, we'll be at the hour mark. So it really can be, depending on the way you walk, it can be more like an hour to get here. And that's what we're going to do. We're gonna go for the hour. I'm just checking. It's just habit, really. Looking at all my frozen stuff and my empty fridge. It's kind of sad in a way to see everything so empty here. As time goes by, I'm going to miss here. I think I'm going to start missing the routine. And I have to say, I do hope this stuff all blows over quicker rather than later, and that hopefully by mid-April or end of April we'll be back to work.